Hi there, it's Professor Monty. We're looking at how to complete the square, but the first step of that is what to add to make it a perfect square, and then how it factors out. So what I've got here is I have a little rule of what's going to happen. If you have a quadratic in the form just x squared plus something times x. Now I don't have a coefficient other than 1 in front of the x squared. If I have a 2x squared and a 3x squared, I have a step I have to do first. But if I'm in this form, I'm going to add whatever that be, whatever the coefficient of the x term is, divide that by 2 and square it. That's what I'm going to add, and then it's going to factor into x plus whatever that was squared. Sounds kind of complicated, but let me show you a couple examples. Find what to add to make a perfect square, then factor. So I've got x squared minus 8x, and I want to figure out what do I add to make it a perfect square, and then how's that going to factor out? Well, it's in that form. It's x squared plus bx. Well, the b is going to be negative 8. So this says I take that b, negative 8, I divide it by 2, and I square it. Well, that's negative 4 squared, which is 16. That's what I'm going to add to both sides. So watch how this works. I put a 16 here. Now if I go back and I try to factor x squared minus 8x minus 16, x times x, two numbers that multiply to 16 that add to negative 8, that's negative 4 and negative 4, which is x minus 4 squared. It's the same negative 4 here. Really, if I can just think, you know what, I'm going to plug a little x in right there, x minus 4 squared, that's how this factors. Because notice, that's how it factored out. X minus 4 squared, that's always going to be the case. So I take half of this number, square it, put that right there. Whatever half of that number was, that's how it's going to factor. X, in this case, minus 4, quantity squared. Let's look at another one. Now, this time, it's still in the right form, but I have a number that's not nicely divisible by 2. So remember, I take that number, I divide it by 2, and I square it. Well, that's going to be 9/4. That's the number I put in right here. I'm going to add 9/4 to both sides. Now, if you want to go straight to it and say, oh, this must be x plus 3/2. You can do that. Let's show that that's how that factors. Let's make sure. If I do x plus 3/2 times x plus 3/2, well, 3/2 times 3/2 is 9/4. 3/2 plus 3/2 is 6/2, which is 3, which was what my middle term was. So that is the right way to factor it out. So we don't have to make it complicated if we just remember, oh, what I'm going to add is half of this squared, I add it to right here. That's going to give me a perfect square. That b over 2 is how it's going to factor out. All right, so try this. It's going to lead to the next thing we do, which is actually solving quadratic equations using completing the square. I'll make a new video. I'll link it right here, so you can just click on it and go straight to that.